everyone. Welcome to the Dancing Bear Enlightenment Academy podcast. We have a special guest speaker today, Darren Starwynn, that I've known for many, many years. I'm Dr. Beverly, and I hope you enjoyed today's talk. So today he's going to talk about Awaken the Avatar within you and help change the world. He is a Dr. and Reverend Darren Starwynn, Master Quantum Crystal Catalyst Healer. Welcome, Darren.
Thank you, Beverly. Yeah, we've known each other for years, and it's great to be your guest today.
Thank you. So his mission is to help awaken lightworkers, healers, and holistic health professionals and help them claim their superpowers so they can help change the world. He does that by providing ascension practices, quantum catalyst healing, and spiritual activations. He is an ordained minister and founder of Lightworkers Ministry, a non-religious church dedicated to awakening and activating lightworkers, healers, and holistic health professionals. We come together to help heal the world. And he didn't say this in his bio that he gave me, but he's also an acupuncturist.
Yeah.
So, Darren, tell us about your personal journey, how you started in your profession, and why is this your passion?
Well, thanks for asking. That's a big question with a big answer, so I'll try to keep it somewhat concise here. What's very interesting on my journey is so many people talk about spiritual awakening. It's a very vogue thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up with this idea that spiritual awakening would be this big, sudden, dramatic thing because I read Autobiography of a Yogi when I was a teenager, and there was this period where Yogananda's teacher hit him on the head with like a stick, and he suddenly was in the cosmic consciousness, and the universe was spinning around him. And I always thought that's what it must be like. But for me, when I really look at it, I've been awake since I was a little child
Mm-hmm.
on many levels. Now, it didn't make me happy necessarily. I had a pretty miserable childhood on many levels. But yet, at the same time, I was always aware that there was this much bigger reality around me and that I was connected to this universal. I had no words for it because my family was sort of atheistic Jewish family that had no context for any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was always aware of it. And I felt that at a young age, it kept me from going into real deep depression and getting really lost with some of the things I was going through because I just knew I was connected to everything
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I could not articulate anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not the kind of person that had like in later life some big dramatic boom, like I know people take psychedelics and have experiences like that,
Oh,
or
yeah.
or they go to or different, or even without it, they might go to a retreat for like a month, a silent retreat. I just feel like I've always been in it. And it's just been a matter of clearing enough of my own pain and trauma from my own emotional body so I could actually enjoy it and share it more. And, that's kind of what my journey's been like. You know, now there's so much within that journey I could describe, but that's the overview of it.
Well, it's really a process, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
a sudden. When you think of the story of the Buddha, he didn't suddenly become enlightened. He did a lot of work. He meditated for a long time, and sitting under a Bodhi tree, a guy goes by in a boat teaching the guitar, and that's when he finally figured it out. But it was a long process, and I think that's really how it is for most of us. That we wake up in layers. Um, so, what is the primary struggle you see among the people that you help that come to you?
That's a great question. I primarily attract people who are already healers or healthcare
Mm-hmm.
practitioners, doctors, or people that say kind of burned out of the corporate world and they have this desire to do something more meaningful and they're interested in being a healer.
Mm-hmm.
So I generally don't get the beginners on the spiritual path, like people who
Right.
are just starting to open up to it. I'm getting people who are already like in it, but they feel stuck on some level. They feel like like they just have lost their inspiration, or they're having depression, or just like they've hit some inner glass ceiling in their on their own self. And like for instance, one man I just reached out to me because he's another fellow author who was writing a book similar to mine at the same time as mine. my book, Awakening the Avatar Within. And he sent me this email saying, I've been a spiritual teacher for 40 years and I've just written this wonderful book, but I feel so stuck. I'm like, I even getting this landing page done. It's just weeks and weeks are going by and there's this one technical problem after another and it's not happening. And then I just feel really depressed and I don't know why. And none of my spiritual tools are working. And, he said, I don't have any money now. I can't pay you. So he just sent me this email and I had this feeling in my heart, I should really reach out to this guy. So last Friday, we got on Zoom and in 15 minutes, his some deep stuff that had been stuck in him for so long just cleared up. And he said he could feel his crown chakra that had these dark programs that like opening up and this other part of him opening up. And so he said, I'm going to send you a testimonial, but I'm going to wait a week or two to let everything settle down. So I just got that this morning. And I don't have it in front of me to read to you right now, but basically he was just saying that I was with Darren 15 minutes and something deep in my like solar plexus and my crown opened and I had dreams of my daughter who had died 2 years ago, all this incredible love. And now my project's moving forward. And like, that guy is so typical of the people I work with. They're people who are already pretty advanced in what they're doing, but they've
Hmm.
gotten stuck somewhere. And it's very hard to find people to help them at that point who
Yeah.
understand what's going on or can, access it. I'd say that's probably a lot of what I work with.
That's very true. There's a lot of professionals out there that get stuck, or after the last 2 years, a lot of things have changed for everybody. And it just brings up a lot of old past life trauma and all kinds of stuff that you may not easily identify. So
Yeah.
that's great that you can help them. So, how is this impacting you personally?
Well, it's making me happy when I get to help people like that. It's making me a lot happier because
Oh,
I
yeah.
love, I mean, I have felt stuck. I mean, I'll just say a little bit of my own journey is that I went to India when I was only 19 years old with a jumbo jet full of young people interested in spirituality. I was living in Colorado then. And so a bunch of us from America flew to India and to England, and then a bunch of young
Wow.
British people who were kind of, getting shot out of the drug culture and wanted to now do spirituality. And we ended up in India. And I was 19 and we were with a teacher there. And he was a real teacher. We didn't get a bogus teacher, fortunately. And I started grappling with the fact that I just had so much heaviness in like trauma, layers and layers of trauma in myself that kept the light very dim, and yet this very strong remembrance of this big field I was in. So it set up a lifetime of intense, like healing and learning healing and giving healing, receiving healing, studying so many different healing modalities and becoming a doctor of Oriental medicine, becoming an inventor and a writer. And I'd say I feel more happy now than I ever had before because I've always known that I had this really big purpose
Hmm.
and but I was felt frustrated that I couldn't really access it because I had too many of my own hangups. And now I feel like I'm really in it so much more than before. And it's just opening up more and more and more. And that's what I use the term avatar for, is I feel like I'm not special. I mean, that's all these people I work with and so many people you work with
Hmm.
who come for healing and are healers themselves
Yeah.
are really avatars, which is divine beings in a human body. And we just have to kind of uncover all the crud that's been weighting us down so we can enjoy being avatars and regain our superpowers and basically rock the world.
And right now we're being awakened in mass. So
Yes.
humanity needs us.
Yeah.
So you have your own special way of working with people. Do you have some secret or some technique or something that you use?
Yep. I've learned so many things from other teachers and healers that have been wonderful. And what I've done is in the last 8 years, it's all sort of, I used to focus on acupuncture and microcurrent therapy, which I invented my own microcurrent units, the
Hmm.
Accutron, and I still actually have a part-time business selling and
Mm.
servicing the
Oh, you do?
Accutron. I keep that going. But what happened is about 8 years ago, I got very strong direction to put all that on the back burner and focus on this kind of higher level healing. And so I did study with a lot of different master healers who all taught me different kinds of quantum or
Mm-hmm.
biofield or fifth dimensional healing. And I guess it just all came together where sort of like a download came into me of how I'm supposed to present this, which is
Yeah,
different than any of those other teachers.
right.
And what it, to be more specific, the way it works is it's a system of basically helping somebody to sense where in their own body, it's very body centered, like where in your body are the places that are crimping down the flow of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And acupuncture works with that, but this goes way
Yeah.
deeper than acupuncture. This is more
Mm-hmm.
like on a soul level or on a spiritual level. Where's those ancient traumas that are still hiding out in there? Or where's the old agreements we've made to be less than we are? Or where are there basically energy implants, which are like
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mechanisms that keep sabotaging someone's success, and you don't even know they're there. You just feel like things aren't working. So it's identifying those kind of hidden, I call it residue. That's my term for it. It's like the
Residue.
baggage, the hidden baggage of the past that is just somehow limiting you or making you less happy or less productive or less hard to have loving relationships or whatever it manifests. And then I don't try to change those things. I don't have a technique to change them. Really, it's done through what's called the quantum field, which is the field of unlimited possibilities that all of us are tapped into. And I kind of, in a catalytic way, help people to tap into the quantum field so they really, their own higher self clears those issues for them. And it's really quickly when it happens.
Yeah, we heal ourselves, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, no
Just
one else
open the
is really
door.
ultimately going to do it.
So let's jump into what you really are passionate about. So talk about what is the real second coming of the Christ?
Well, what I'm most passionate about, Beverly, is, and I'm going to stick my neck out here, is helping save the world.
I agree.
Yeah,
That's why
and
we're here.
I have been ridiculed many times for being idealistic or Pollyanna or pie in the sky, but I'm sticking to it.
No, I hear
I,
you. Yeah, that's
um,
why we're here.
I mean,
I say save humanity.
yeah, save. Well, the earth needs saving as well as humanity and the animals, and it all needs saving right
Well,
now.
we can't survive without the earth and the animals and the plants.
Yeah, is that the second coming of the Christ is a term that's been used by Christians to
Mm-hmm.
kind of goes back to an old messianic tradition that
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Jewish person, so like the Jews were waiting for this Messiah to show up in around the time of Jesus, who would liberate them from the Romans and save them from all this oppression. And then now Christians often say, waiting for the second coming of the Christ to come and be this powerful leader to get rid of the corruption of the world. I don't think that's accurate. I feel the second coming of the Christ is a mass movement of millions of light workers who step into their power and make a commitment to serve and to give their best gifts and but not to do it individually. I mean, of course we do it
Collectively.
individually, but to
Yeah.
but to kind of have this collective force
Mm-hmm.
of light. It's a light worker movement, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
second coming of the Christ. So my passion is
Yeah.
supporting that and encouraging people to wake up to that this is possible and that they can really make a significant difference to this.
Yeah, I frequently hear people saying, Christ will save me, Jesus will save me. No, Jesus told us how to save ourselves, and collectively, that's what we will do. I totally agree with that message. So, you were talking about superpowers. So, what are those, and how do we get those?
Well, we're all as you grow up, you're aware of having certain talents or certain
Mm-hmm.
abilities. Like every child is good at certain things just naturally. Like some kids are
Mm-hmm.
very athletic naturally, or some kids are just brains and they just tend to do well at school. And
Mm-hmm.
some kids that just love cooking, or some of them are very good dancers or musicians or artists. Some of them are good, at breaking up fights among their friends and mediating. So these are natural abilities that we
Mm-hmm.
have from young age.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not necessarily superpowers. They're the seeds of our superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes super as you raise your frequency to the avatar level and your energy vibration is raised higher. not just in your mind, but in your physical body. Like literally, your physical body is raised to a higher level of vibration, and you open your heart more. These things that were talents or abilities actually literally become superpowers where it's awesome what they can do. And then another piece that's very important about superpowers is what I call your energy transmission. And in my new
Mm-hmm.
book, Awakening the Avatar Within, I talk a lot about these things and give practices to get in touch with them. So transmission is, it means like the highest source that you come from on the highest spiritual level of source. When that, as that filters down to become the being you are, that energy stream is your transmission.
Mm-hmm.
So your superpowers arise from the transmission being expressed through your body and through who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you bring this transmission through and you open up your body to this transmission, the more super your powers become.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about love. I mean, it's all the power of love. This is not the power over anyone else or to,
No,
it's the more we engage in the power of love, the more all these wonderful gifts, become, awaken in us.
that is so true. So today, if people are paying attention, we live in a bizarre world. It's corrupt, it's crazy, you can't trust anybody. So how do we become enlightened, and what human societies do you see in the future? What is going on with all of this?
Yeah, that's very important to look at this because I've been politically aware since my early teenage years, and I've constantly followed the news and what's going on. And I mean, I grew up in a time, and like you did too, I mean, where it was kind of a more liberal movement toward greater rights for women, greater rights for people who are minorities. The Civil Rights Act was passed back in the 60s, and then we had Medicare, and we had like a lot of things, gay rights, and I mean, so many things are kind of, more environmental awareness. And there's a powerful movement in the United States now to basically turn all that back, to like get rid of all that and try to go back to like a society dominated by white males without regard for the environment and, taking away voting rights from people of color. And I mean, it's stuff like that is extremely distressing, to me. And in other countries, there's so much, more autocratic, people taking over. But you see, I think in the bigger picture, it's part of the ascension of consciousness. Paradoxically speaking, some of this horrific stuff is actually a manifestation of this higher consciousness coming in. I know that might sound hard to understand, but I want to explain why I think that's true. Is that as the light gets stronger and stronger on the planet Earth, it's like this streaming light and the vibrations going up. Anything unlike the light, anything unlike love comes up to the surface. Like it can't be just hidden away. Like before Trump became president, white supremacy and extremists like were kind of out in the fringes of society. They couldn't really openly come out, and they'd have to, but he basically said, come out in the open, come on out and I will honor you. You're fine people. And then, and so all these things kind of happened. And by the way, I'm not trying to whitewash the Democratic Party either. I'm not so much making a political statement of one party. I'm just saying in general, what's happened is that these kind of more biased and prejudicial forces are now out in the open, and it allows people to make a choice. I think we all have to make very deep soul level choices now of what we want, what we stand for, and having all this stuff out in the open makes people have to make a choice, and also it's part of the clearing. It's all being cleared out actually. The light forces are clearing a lot of the things, these pressing forces out, but while that's happening, it's a real mess.
I guess I see both sides as divisive, and I'm an independent. I don't like either side.
Yeah,
When you listen to one side, they just say lies about the other side, and then you listen to the other side, and they just lie about each other. Can't believe any of it. But it requires change, and change is hard. People fight it,
yeah.
and they don't always want to use their discernment to find the truth. And you need a lot of discernment today because there's so much lying going on that it's hard to even deal with. So, what is the ascension of consciousness?
Yeah, it's actually a natural process. Like for instance, when a child gets to age 12 or 13, they go through puberty, right? It's just a natural biological process that happens. And it's actually the ascension of consciousness is sort of like a puberty for the human race right now.
Mm.
It's basically I saw a science fiction book called Childhood's End that I read when I was young by Arthur C.
Yeah.
Clarke. And it's kind of like that. We're at the childhood's end for the human race being this kind of savage, patriarchal place that's run
Yeah.
by all these power tripping people and
Hmm.
where we don't take care of our earth. I mean, we're at the end of that. We're either going to destroy ourselves as a civilization and
Hmm.
become like an asteroid or something, or we're going to find that higher light. But there's already a movement of upper consciousness. In my book, I talk about the ancient Mayan science of the creation waves, that at certain times, a higher frequency of consciousness just basically pours onto the earth
Yeah.
and life takes a step upward.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, way to look at it. It's a little different than Darwin's evolution kind of
Oh,
idea. It's
well.
based on cosmic waves. And so there's a cosmic wave called the ninth wave that has started around 2011, just really sweeping the earth. And we can't stop it. It's just moving consciousness upward
Hmm.
into more of a unity consciousness and
Hmm.
the ego mind having to let go. And the ego
Hmm.
mind is fighting like crazy right now for survival because it feels like everything's being pulled away, and it is. So the ascension is like an organic process on earth.
Hmm.
And back
Uh,
at,
yeah. Sorry.
back at one of the things, like during the time of the Renaissance, which is, what, the 1400s, it was another time of ascension of consciousness, from like the Black Ages where there was hardly any education, there was terrible healthcare and no sanitation, and science was stagnating. All those things kind of came alive in a very short amount of time. So we're kind of like in a much bigger version of that, I would say.
Yeah. Those of us that are sensitive to energy have been feeling it ever since we entered that area where everything lined up with the center of the galaxy. It's been
Mhm.
intense.
Right.
I'm in a Facebook group where every day for a while there, it stopped in January because we entered a whole different energy space astrologically. But November and December were really hard for a lot of people. They were getting headaches and nausea, and just every day there were posts from people with symptoms. So, yeah, we are going through it, and it doesn't matter what your belief system is, you're going to go through it.
Yeah.
So you might as well just enjoy the ride and finally wake up. So, what is real healing? Why do so many aware people go to lots of healers, therapists, spiritual healers, and more, and still feel inner pain and trauma?
You're asking some great questions, Beverly. These are the big questions of our time, aren't they? Yeah, that's something I've thought about in research for so long because so many of my clients are people who they always have such a similar story of all the healers they've been through, all the doctors they've been through, all the chiropractors, all the acupuncturists, all the different the shamans they visited. And each one helped them to some
Hmm.
extent, or at
Hmm.
least some of them did. Some hurt them, but most of them helped them. But the still basic inner pain and conflict really didn't go away. And but in general, and things got better on some levels for them. And so that's always fascinated me. What is that about? I mean, so what I really feel it is that light workers, and I want to define the term light workers before I use it any further. A light worker to me is a person from any walk of life. You don't have to be a healer or healthcare practitioner who basically is really motivated to lighten yourself up with more of spiritual light inside of yourself and then to help others to lighten up. I mean, I think a person could be in any kind of profession or retired, or they could be a child. So I don't want to say what it's really more of an intention, like somebody who has that desire where that becomes important to them. So that's a light worker. So I would say light workers have a lot of baggage we brought forward from the past, and that there's some deep core lessons that we came here to learn. And I certainly believe we've had many, many lifetimes, and some of them were very, very traumatic.
Hmm.
And that in some of these other lifetimes, and for some people in this lifetime, they've experienced persecution for being a light worker. They've experienced, some very heavy duty consequences by showing their light brightly. And so there's this, I call it the residue of the past that makes people just feel kind of a heavy feeling inside, or inhibited, or afraid to be seen publicly, or it manifests as cancer or chronic pain or depression or insomnia, or so many things like this. And that some of these things are very difficult to treat with even acupuncture or Reiki or a lot of things that are out there, because there's the only way they can be healed is literally by awakening to the part of yourself that was never harmed to begin with. Like, kind of like, as long as we're seeking healing, there's a duality to it. There's still me, something wrong with me, and I'm seeking a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that keeps us in a certain cycle. To me, awakening is knowing that my true self has never had a problem, is not capable of it, and I am that right now. So for anybody listening to this, I'd just like to take a moment to invite you to just take that on if you can. The real my true self is perfect, and right now always has been. Doesn't need any healing, doesn't need any improvement, doesn't need any enlightenment, doesn't need any personal growth. Like, yeah, my human self will go through those experiences, but that's not really who I am.
Right.
And so I feel like that's what it is. It's like we need to be more focused on awakening to our true self and less on trying to solve our problems.
Great. Yeah, I have a hypnotherapy thing I do with people. I have
Yeah,
them visualize their perfect self and then step into it.
beautiful. That's a
So
beautiful method. Yeah.
you see it, and then I have them close their eyes, so I tell them I'm in front of them so they can walk safely forward and not bang into anything and just walk into the perfect self. So anybody can do that at home for themselves. But yeah, you're absolutely right, because our higher self is perfect. It's in a higher dimension, or I like to call them densities, because it's a different vibration. So, do you have a way that people at home can just raise their vibration? How do you recommend people do that?
Yeah. It can be very simple. Is First of all, there's one of the statements, Jesus made a lot of really great statements that are like metaphysical principles. They become religious belief systems, but I feel like he and other teachers, gave us these gems. And one of them was, when two or more are gathered in my name, there
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Yeah.
And I want to dissect that statement a little bit. When he said my name, he was not referring to a human name of Jesus or Jeshua or something. The name he is referring to is the name of God, which is this vibration of pure creative power, Christ consciousness, which we all share. It wasn't him a personal name he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, when two or more are gathered, there I am. Again, he wasn't talking about himself, a human being. The I am is the I am presence, the universal self.
Mm-hmm.
So what I dissect that statement is more of a kind of physics. It's like, when two people are tuning into, or are acknowledging this field of their true unlimited self, you amplify each other's ability to experience it, and it takes you higher into the I am presence more easily than if you do it on your own. So I would say, so one way to do that is just, there's an individual. That means if you share with other people like we're doing right now, and you have this intention of connecting with your true self, you
Mm-hmm.
go higher very quickly. I mean, I've been noticing that with with my friends or groups I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
When you're individual and you don't, let's say, not connecting with other people, there's this very simple practice that I put in my book, which I could share now. And just, is it okay if I could say that? It's just something I could do in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's in the front of my book, Awakening the Avatar Within, and it's called Foundational Practices. And you can do them all in a few seconds once you learn them. So the first step of the foundational practice would be, you clear your space. And you can do that by just saying, I now command a purity blast. Or you could use other words, but you're basically
Mm-hmm.
commanding your transmission of energy just to rush through your body, just like a quick flush, like flushing the toilet. It just comes through. It doesn't have to be a toilet analogy, I guess, but it's just like something going. And as soon as I say that, I feel the clearing. Um, Then you put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, slightly behind your two front upper teeth. That's
Mhm.
the master hookup position. And that immediately connects you with your own yin and yang balanced energy within your own body by putting your tongue there. Breathe in your lower abdomen while you keep your tongue in that position. And then, and then the next step is crucial. We often don't realize how much our energy is dispersed outward onto things we've been thinking about and worrying about, or other people we feel unresolved energies with, or world events, or whatever it is. You simply say with authority, I now call myself in. I call all my energy back into my own body. And if you say that and trust that you have the power to do that, you'll feel this calmness, like this groundedness, this, and then the final, and then you ground into the earth, because modern people are usually never grounded enough, and then tune into love, loving presence. So it sounds like a lot to explain it, but once you actually sort of get in the habit of those 6 little practices, in 3 or 4 seconds you can do all that and be in that more embodied state where you are literally experiencing your perfect true self.
Mhm. When I was able to teach people live, I'd use dowsing rods, and I'd walk towards people, and they'd go like this, and I'd say, okay, now pull your energy in, compact yourself, and then I'd have to get really close before the little rod, so people can actually see their energy moving in and out.
Yes.
So what
Yeah.
you just said is just so true. And it is easy to do, and it can happen in seconds once you get used to doing it, but it's an important practice. So thank you for sharing that. That's very good. Um, so were you going to show us a screen and tell us something?
Yes. I want to share a screen about for people that want to go further in this direction of awakening the avatar within themselves. And there's another piece I want to, before I show the screen, there's something, the word activations is another word to
Oh,
define.
okay, yeah.
You know, one of the gifts that human beings can give each other is that we can be a catalyst for each other. Like, in other words, if I have some kind of, my superpowers are something that may be a catalyst for you to help you awaken your superpowers. In fact, that happens to be one of my superpowers, is I'm a quantum catalyst. And what that literally means is that my presence strongly and rapidly activates other light workers to go to their higher level or to clear old burdens they have and to wake up. And so that's been happening big time lately, with more and more as I've been trusting it and acknowledging it more and more.
Hmm.
Now, somebody else might have the superpower of deep compassion, where they can be a catalyst for other people to feel more self-love and more self-compassion and forgiveness and inner healing. So anyway, I'm going to be teaching a webinar. I'll put the screen up here. That's a free event. It's coming up on March 10th. So let me go to the share screen button and I can show you this image.
For those of you listening, he'll read what's there so that you know what he's showing.
Yeah, and I'll be narrating it, so those, if you're just listening, so you'll know the URLs I'm talking about. So for anybody who's watching, you can see the screen. Otherwise, I'll say what I'm doing. But this web page is lightworkerministry.com/2022. I'll say that one more time, because Lightworker is just the way it's spelled, just the way it sounds. LIGHT, worker, WORKER, ministry, MINISTRY, no dots. Lightworkerministry.com/2022. And on this page, I have a few links here that anybody who's interested in what I'm saying might find valuable. One here is the webinar. So this link over here opens up the screen for this webinar invitation on Thursday, March 10th at 5:30 p.m. For some reason, it didn't open at this time. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Pacific time, right?
Pacific time. Yes, thank you. Pacific time, USA, 5:30. So that'd be 8:30 Eastern time, or whatever other time zone you're in. And it's called 3 Quantum Healing Activations for Breakthrough Results. So in this free webinar, I'll be sharing activations for whoever's open to it. That means that there's 3 ways that you can receive activations to bring out your own superpowers and your own direct experience of the quantum field. I mean, it may sound like a very abstract thing, the quantum field, like something you'd read in a scientific book, but anybody can actually just feel it. Just like you could feel if you scratch your cheek with your fingers, you can feel it, right? Well, you can feel the quantum field. So that's one of the things that'll happen. And then these activations that could help you to get in touch with your own healing abilities more. And so that's what this event is about. And then I'm going to close that one and go back to the that landing page. Now, the other thing on that page is there's a 14-week course that I'm starting in April for people that want to actually offer quantum healing to others and go through this physiological process of embodying their own avatar self more strongly and actually become a quantum healer. So it'll start on April 14th and meet one evening a week until June. And there's a whole lot of bonus courses and interactions that go with it. I'll open that page a moment here. And so then anyway, you can access that on that same page, which is lightworkerministry.com/2022. And that one's called Quantum Healing. Bring out your master healer abilities, activate your superpowers, and elevate your effectiveness. And that course is going to be, again, for people that probably most people who go to that course are already working with others in some capacity, as a coach or as a healer or as a holistic practitioner or acupuncturist. And they just have this urge, like, I really want to work on this higher quantum level. That's what you'll get from participating in that course. And then also on this page, there's also 2 short videos. That one is called Everything is Energy, and the other is an Intro to Quantum Healing. And then an image of my book, Awakening the Avatar Within, and a book link. And one thing about this, I have a free course that you get just for buying this book. A whole course I created with videos and audios that you can access by buying this $20 book. So that's a super deal, I think. And so that's what I wanted to share, is that.
Okay, great.
Thanks for letting me show that.
And you also have a special gift for people, right?
I do, yes.
So discover your superpowers spiritual energy assessment. So tell us about that.
Right. That's a very interesting kind of fun gift that we created with a programmer. Is we're talking about superpowers. So what this is, it's a questionnaire, a self-questionnaire you go through, and you choose multiple choice answers to a whole series of questions. It takes about 10 minutes to go through it. And afterwards, it tells you what your primary superpower is and what your secondary superpower is.
Oh,
And so, yeah, and so I can't just give you a web page. What I'll do is I'll just literally give you my email address, because I don't have a page I can send you to for that right now because it's not in that kind of form. But if you're interested in that, you can simply email me, and I will be anybody listening to this show, and I'll be glad to send that to you. So I'm going to give you my email address now.
can they find your email on that web page you showed us?
I don't think so. I don't actually think I put my email on there.
Oh, okay. Because I always am leery of giving out email addresses online, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're okay with that, then fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway, I don't know any other way to give people that gift that I could think of, unless you can think of a way to do that.
I always make a landing page. So
Right.
people land on the landing page and then it sends me their email and then I send them the gift. Sorry,
Okay.
everybody.
Right. Well, I think I could. I think I do have something like that. If you want to hold on, I think I might be able to look that up and find out what that is. So,
Okay. Yeah,
okay.
because otherwise you get spammers.
Okay.
Because this link will be posted underneath the YouTube channel and on Simplecast that broadcasts out to other. Eventually, it'll go to Spotify and Apple. I don't have the connection up yet, but it is listed there as well. So, and that'll be out there forever. So
Okay.
you'll
Oh, well,
never
thanks for
find it.
warning me. Okay. Well, I'm gonna look up the URL then, and I can give them that.
Okay,
Okay.
that looks great. That sounds great. I really enjoyed talking to you. You have doing some wonderful work, and it's similar to all my guests, obviously, which is why I keep inviting them. And you have a lot of other, well, at least one other book, because I know I own it. But It's more on microcurrent and stuff. It's the acupuncture oriented because I'm an acupuncturist. But do you have? Is this your second book, or have you written other
This
books?
is my fourth book. Let me give you
Fourth
that
book.
URL first while I have it on the screen. Then I'll come back and talk to you about the other book. So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the URL to access that superpower quiz. It's https:// okay, and then bridge2mastery.com. And that's spelled just the way it sounds again, BRIDGETOMASTERY. That's bridge2mastery.com / discover dash, not underscore, but dash, discover dash your, YOUR, dash superpower. So I'll just say that one more time. It's https:// bridge2mastery.com / discover dash your, YOUR, dash superpower. And superpower is one word.
Cool.
Okay, so yeah, because you saved me from being spam, so thank you. Okay.
I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like good to be wise in that way.
um, and then you were going to tell us something else. Oh, your
Yeah,
other
about
books.
my other books, right? The other three books that I published, they're all self-published books, and they've all really done well. But the first one from 2001 was called Microcurrent Electroacupuncture.
That's the one I have. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all available on Amazon.com, and that's for people that use microcurrent therapy and
Mm-hmm.
want to use it in an acupuncture kind of setting. They don't have to be necessarily an acupuncturist because even like a chiropractor or massage therapist can still treat acupuncture points without needles using microcurrent. This is a non-needle approach.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like that book's become the Bible on that subject since no one else has ever written a book, in the 22 years since that book came out about that. So that's microcurrent electroacupuncture. Then my next book was in, I think, 2006, and it was called Healing the Root of Pain.
Mm.
And that one is another big workbook, and it's about using energy medicine to treat emotional, like trauma and emotional disorders through the chakra system. And I researched that really thoroughly, and it's a very comprehensive system of using color light therapy, sound healing, microcurrent, soul healing, essential oils, counseling. It puts all these things together into a system. And I mean, if the mental health system was using that, we would have like way, way less depression, anxiety, and people on pharmaceuticals and all that. But
Mm.
there's political issues about that too, I guess. And
Yeah.
then my third book is called Reclaiming Your Calm Center, and that one came out just a few years ago, 2013, or maybe 2016 actually. No, it's actually 2017. That one's very recent, and that one is more for the public. It's more about finding inner peace and clearing the dark programs of the mind that usually psychology never knows about, and a lot about energy medicine. So those are and then my newest one, Awakening the Avatar Within, is the one that seems to be doing the best. That one seems to be really getting out there and a lot of people.
Good. Well, Darren, it has been wonderful reconnecting with you and enjoyed your talk. Do you have any parting words to share with us?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate what you're doing, Beverly. I mean, you're making such a huge effort to bring all these people and get their word out there, and you're doing your summits. And I want to thank you for how much dedication you put toward getting this kind of information out there. So thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Well, everyone, it's been great. Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to be the light you want to see in the world.
Yes.